Hardy Boys Casefiles number 3 is called Cult of Crime. For whatever reason, the cover has the same Frank and Joe from the first book, but they switched clothes. Weird. The love interest, victim in this book, is Frank's grade school crush, Holly Strand. Holly ran away from home to join a cult, and her father has asked Mr. Hardy to get her back. The Hardy Boys decide that their dad is competent enough to handle this case on his own, and the book ends there. Just kidding. Frank and Joe have no confidence whatsoever in their dad's detective skills, so they decide to solve the case behind his back. They go to New York, and Frank must have lost a bet or something, because Joe gets the cushy hotel room while Frank has to be homeless for a few days. The cult finds Frank and adopts him as their newest member. The cult with no name is made up of runaway teenagers, and it's run by a madman named Rajah, who believes that he is God. Rajah's partner in crime is angry, violent meathead, who is something of a reoccurring character in this series. Frank is taken to the cult's commune in northern New York, where we finally meet Holly. She's busy snuggling with Rajah and making secret plans. Not long after, she snuggles with Frank and makes secret plans. What can I say? The girl loves snuggling and espionage. Frank likes it when hot girls get close to him, so he agrees to help her escape the cult. Joe sneaks into the compound, where he is quickly captured by Angry Meathead. Rajah orders Frank to kill Joe, and there's a huge fight scene where our heroes escape the gun-wielding guards and the angry cultists. Naturally, Frank brings Holly along in hopes of getting more snuggles. Meanwhile, Rajah kills Angry Meathead and frames the Hardy Boys for the murder. Holly and the Hardys are forced to go on the run. Joe grabs a radio and he calls their secret government contact the Gray Man. This is a continuity error, because the Gray Man communicates with them via computer modem, not radio. Gray Man hates continuity errors, so he refuses to help the Hardys. Our heroes come across a crazy hermit who lives in a cabin in the woods. His name is J.D. Salinger. Rosie. Rosie helps them escape from the police, and he loads them on a train headed towards home. Holly admits that she has always had a huge crush on Frank, which is sweet. Then she tries to kill Joe while he's sleeping, which is not sweet. She continues her mean streak by drugging her father in order to get top-secret bank codes. Now, the final third of the book begins with an out-of-place scene where Chet Morton muses about the nature of change and societal progress. It's a little out of place, but don't worry. There's a reason why Chet has suddenly become Aristotle Jr. Just wait and see. Rajah's followers arrive in town and start a riot, which serves as a perfect distraction for the bank robbery. The Hardys arrive at Holly's house just in time for the big plot twist. Rajah is secretly Holly's half-brother. The entire book was a scheme so he could get revenge on the father that he never met. The fact that Holly and Rajah are related is really creeping me out a bit, because I remember they first appeared in a lovey-dovey snuggling scene. Rajah runs away, but his escape is foiled when he accidentally runs into Chet Morton. Yes, that's why Chet became a philosophy major in this book. It was so he could save the day by standing in place and thinking. Hooray for Chet! Rajah is arrested, Holly starts seeing a therapist, and she kisses Frank before leaving the series forever. Lucky for Frank, his girlfriend isn't around to see this. The end. Post-book follow-up. I think the Hardy Boys Casefiles should have switched books 3 and 4. That way the series starts with a sort of trilogy. The way it is now, we have a sort of trilogy with an unrelated book in the middle. It's like if Star Wars Episode 3 was about Darth Vader's spring break adventures. Interesting, but not relevant. I only kinda sorta liked Holly the first time I read this book, and the second time I read this book, I flat out disliked her. The book completely gives away the Holly is secretly evil plot twist with the scene where she tries to kill Joe. In fact, I'd say the only good Holly segments were her lovey-dovey discussions with Frank. Yeah, big surprise. My favorite part of the book was the love stuff. Not because it was romantic, but because it was funny to see Frank try to let Holly down easily. I have a girlfriend! Stop being obsessed with me! No, never! I also disliked Holly because she spent most of the escape sequence crying and whining about how it's too scary for her. That's a plot problem in general. Holly and Rajah's plan depends on Holly getting back home. Yet at every step of the way, they try to kill the Hardy Boys. Why are you trying to stop the Hardys when your plan depends on them succeeding? And I didn't mention this in my recap, but for a few chapters, the book pretends that Frank has been killed. It's rather pointless, and there's no real payoff for it, so I'm going to pretend that Frank faked his own death in order to get away from Holly. On a positive note, the author is obviously good at writing, and out of the first 3 books, this one most deserves the more mature audiences label. Fans of the series usually give this book a 7 out of 10, but I'm going to give it a lower score because Holly is the main focus of this book, and I honestly did not care for her. What else is in this book besides for her? A generic villain and endless escape sequences, which is not very different from the rest of the series. I give Hardy Boys Casefiles number 3, Cult of Crime, a 4 out of 10.